Sometimes fandom is more than just a hobby. If you aren't careful, it can become a full-blown obsession. And for some fans, obsession can lead to something much worse: murder. These celebrities receive the wrong kind of love and devotion from their fans. Number 1. Dimebag Darrell. Dimebag Darrell was an American guitarist and songwriter best known as a founding member of two bands, Pantera and Damageplan, alongside his brother Vinnie Paul. On December 8, 2004, legendary Pantera guitarist Dimebag Darrell was performing with his new band, Damageplan, at a Columbus, Ohio nightclub. Tragedy struck during the band's first song, when a fan named Nathan Gale rushed the stage while reportedly shouting, "You broke up Pantera." He then shot the rock god in the head. Darrell was just 38. Gale then shot and killed a bouncer and two concertos, and also took a hostage, before being killed by a police officer. Number 2. John Lennon. John Lennon was an English singer and songwriter who rose to worldwide fame as a co-founder of the Beatles, the most commercially successful band in the history of popular music. On December 8, 1980, 40-year-old Beatles legend and rock icon John Lennon, who eerily predicted his own death, was shot 5 times in the back outside his Manhattan apartment building by former Beatles fan Mark David Chapman. Why? We still don't know. Chapman was reportedly a Beatles fan earlier in his life, but he wasn't truly obsessed with Lennon until Chapman himself experienced a religious awakening. And he wasn't driven by some subliminal message he supposedly heard, but by the hypocrisy he thought he heard in Lennon's lyrics. In addition to that, Chapman targeted Lennon simply because he thought killing someone famous would make him famous too. To that end, he approached Lennon, asked for an autograph, got it, and then came back later to shoot him dead. All because he wanted fame. He got infamy instead. Number 3. Selena Quintanilla. Selena was an American Tejano singer, called the Queen of Tejano music. Her contributions to music and fashion made her one of the most celebrated Mexican-American entertainers of the late 20th century. On March 31, 1995, Selena was lured to a Days Inn motel in Corpus Christi, Texas, where she was shot and killed by the president of her fan club, Yolanda Saldivar. She was only 23. 32-year-old Saldivar then fled to her pickup truck in the motel's parking lot, where she threatened suicide for 10 hours before being arrested by authorities. Selena's father stated that Saldivar had recently been fired from managing the chart topper's boutique for embezzling funds. Number 4. Rebecca Sheffer. Rebecca Sheffer was an American actress and model. She began her career as a teen model before moving on to acting. In 1986, she landed the role of Patricia Patti Russell in the CBS comedy My Sister Sam. A man named Robert John Bardo had become obsessed with her and began stalking her for 3 years leading up to the shooting. He had written numerous letters to the actress and tried to get onto the set of her TV show without success. After she appeared in a sex scene in the movie Scenes from the Class Struggle in Beverly Hills, he became enraged and used a private detective agency to find her home. He arrived at her house and confronted her. After a brief exchange, he left only to return an hour later and shoot her dead. Number 5. Christina Grimmie. Christina Grimmie was an American singer and YouTuber. In 2009, she began posting covers of popular songs onto YouTube. After releasing her debut EP, Find Me, her YouTube channel reached 1 million subscribers. After she reached 2 million subscribers, she released her debut studio album With Love. Grimmie was signing autographs after performing at her live show in Orlando in 2016. Loibl approached Grimmie while she was signing autographs and chatting with fans. When she rose to greet him, he shot her several times in the chest. Grimmie's brother, Marcus Grimmie, tackled Loibl. Loibl won the short struggle and turned the gun on himself. He died on the spot. Christina Grimmie lingered for a few hours. The police never found a motive for the murder. Loibl planned it meticulously. His phone was encrypted, and he intentionally destroyed the hard drive on his computer to prevent any data from being extracted. Number 6. Gianni Versace. Gianni Versace was a fashion mogul and businessman whose brand became one of the most well-known fashion houses on the planet. He was one of the first designers to link the fashion and music worlds, and was well known for mixing with other famous celebrities. Andrew Cunanan was on a killing spree and had already killed 4 other men when he shot Versace in front of his mansion in Miami Beach. Cunanan was obsessed with Versace and claimed to be close friends with him, though this was attributed to delusions of grandeur. The FBI claims that Cunanan and Versace had likely met before, but does not know the nature of their potential relationship. Cunanan took his own life days after the killing. Number 7. Andrés Escobar. Andrés Escobar was a star defender on Colombia's 1994 World Cup squad. Soccer is massively popular in Colombia, and the team was optimistic about its chances going into the tournament. However, during the team's second group match against the United States, Escobar inadvertently deflected the ball into his own goal while trying to make a defensive play. He returned home shortly after Colombia was eliminated from the tournament and was shot and killed a few days later in a parking lot outside of a nightclub. Humberto Munoz Castro, the man who killed Escobar, worked for a powerful drug cartel. Questions remain over whether he was acting on his own accord or on orders from above. He was released from prison in 2005 after serving 11 years. Number 8. Albert Abbasi. Cameroonian soccer star Albert Abbasi reportedly died at the hands of fans after a match on August 23, 2014 in Algeria. The 24-year-old striker and his JS Kabylie teammates were leaving the field after losing to USM Alger. The players were reportedly being showered by projectiles hurled by angry fans when something struck Abbasi in the head. The object supposedly dented his skull, killing him, but that story has since come under question. As reported in The Guardian, a new autopsy has claimed that Abbasi was stabbed and brutally beaten to death in the changing rooms. Pathologists said the player suffered from more than just head trauma, including a cervical vertebrae rupture and other wounds indicating a struggle. At the time of this writing, it seems there may be more to Abbasi's death than an out-of-control fan. But considering soccer is a sport that has incited entire countries to go to war, we're keeping all theories on the table until further notice. Number 9. Jesse James. Jesse James was an outlaw who robbed banks, trains, and more in the 1800s. He was also accused of committing atrocities against Union troops and civilians as a guerrilla fighter for the South during the American Civil War. After the war, James and his gang robbed and rampaged throughout the Midwest, gaining notoriety as some of the most feared criminals of the time. However, it would all come to an end when a new member of James' crew, Robert Ford, killed James to collect the reward on his head and amnesty for his previous crimes. Number 10. Mikhail Lermontov. Lermontov was a Russian Romantic-era poet, writer, and painter. He was one of the most famous authors of the late 19th century. He was friends with a man named Nikolai Martynov and would pass time with him and others at local watering holes. However, Lermontov would bully Martynov incessantly for how he dressed and behaved. One day, Martynov decided he had enough and challenged Lermontov to a duel. Lermontov accepted, but allegedly made it known he planned to shoot into the air instead of at Martynov. However, Martynov fired the first shot and killed Lermontov on the spot.